Yo, 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 Merry Christmas. Welcome back for the second Happy Holidays special. And I'm taking the chance to record another one of these videos while I'm on holidays because I got a little bit of time and I had a bit more stories to share with you all about some of my experiences here while I'm having time here in Sydney. I had to go into the centre of Sydney, right into the centre of the city, and it's much busier than anything that I usually experience in Perth, in WA, Western Australia. But what struck me was that there was a person on the street with a little cup asking for donations. And even though tens, hundreds, even thousands of people are walking past right in the centre of the city on some of those main streets in Sydney, I didn't see anybody else giving to this person. No one else at all. And I was commenting to my family afterwards that this is probably the wealthiest demographic in Australia. This is probably the wealthiest, per person, per head. These are probably some of the financially most well-off people in Australia, since it's the centre of Sydney. And yet I didn't see a single person going up and giving money to this person. So I stopped and chatted to my family and asked if anybody had any coins, because I never seem to have any coins. I don't usually have any cash money at all in my wallet. So these opportunities come and go, and I really want to give, but I don't have the coins there to give. But on this occasion, I was there with my wife and my kid, and my wife pulled out a few coins, including some gold coins, which was really nice. So I actually walked back through the crowd, through the mass of bodies. And that's what it's like here in the middle of Sydney. Waded my way through this sea of living sea of just people swarming around, and made my way back to the person with the cup, the little cup. And I went up and I wished them Happy New Year and dropped a few coins in, and I saw that the coins that I dropped in was probably about half of what he had in the cup. So maybe one other generous person or some other people had given a bit. But it really struck me at the time that these people must have so much coins. I mean, I hope they're not like me and they're completely bereft of coins. But I'm guessing most of them would have a bunch of coins in their wallets, surely. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but at least a few of them would. But I didn't see anybody going up to him. In the time that I was passing through there would have been tens and hundreds of people passing through there, but I didn't see anybody giving to him except for me and my family. And that's really sad to me. That's something that I talk to the support group that I run, the wonderful group of people who are part of the support group with me, that I started volunteering to people just to try to give people a more understanding, a more caring, a more generous culture, to try to create a movement in amongst our people to activate more understanding, to reduce the misunderstandings, to make it less, and increase the understanding, to make it more caring and less uncaring, and more generous and less of a culture of taking and more of a culture of giving. So I was commenting, and we were walking around the city, me and my family, and I was commenting, look at this, we're right in the center of this culture that's all about taking. that's not so much about giving. And it's really noticeable to me. It's so obvious to me now. I used to live in Sydney, and I think it was obvious to me back then. Something didn't feel right, but it was always unconscious, whereas now it's so conscious for me. I used to live in Sydney more than a decade ago, and I lived in Sydney for a couple decades, and more than a couple decades. Grew up in Sydney, and so I was like a fish in water. It was just normalized, this normalized culture of not caring, and I couldn't really see it, but now it's so clear to me, having trained myself in this science that makes us a more caring person. It was so blindingly clear to me that something's not right here. And it made me want to give out a message in my video to say, try not to miss any opportunity to give, even if you only give in a tiny little way. Try not to miss it. If there is an opportunity, if someone needs help, if there is something that you can give to an animal or to the environment, to yourself, to anybody, to anything, to anyone, anywhere, anything, even objects, if there's something there that you can give and you've got the energy and the time or whatever the resource is to share, I encourage you, I really support you to do it, and you will gain a wealth that is priceless, that can never get stolen from you, which is your mental wealth, the wealth of your mind, which is happiness, mental health. So I thought it came into my mind a bit later today to do a little video and to call it Give, in order to more fully live, in order to more truly live. We need to become a much more giving person. If we haven't really learned to give yet, this is really what life is about. That's what I'm sharing through the science of the mind. That's our mind gains happiness in this way, and that there's no happiness that can get higher than just giving. And it's something that I talked about last year, which is just in the new year now. So it's the recently past year of 2019. And something that I was talking about to people was that I feel that people who produce artworks and writings and things and movies, that definitely from my perspective, people's unconscious minds are obsessed with this culture that's uncaring, that so many of the artworks and stories are telling stories about vampires or demons or werewolves, things like this, stories about zombies and things. And that's what I felt like I was surrounded with people who haven't learned, who don't really know how to get happy. That's what I was saying to my family, is that so many of these people walking around us are walking around not understanding the things that I'm talking about, this science, I feel. Otherwise there would be a lot more people giving a little bit to our best friend who had their cup out. So that's not to say that people aren't giving a lot already. It's been really inspiring to see with the bushfires and the generosities of people giving to other people who've suffered and struggled with, who are struggling with these bushfires, and to the animals. I was just seeing that there's been an outstanding amount of donations to the animals. So it's really beautiful. People are definitely learning to be more generous. But we don't need to wait until disasters and crises. This is something that we can learn to make normal and mainstream, and anybody can learn this. And when we realize that it makes not only you and me happier, it makes not just ourselves happier individually, learning to give more, but it makes other people happier, and it